Welcome back to the Cave of Wonders, Dreamwalkers. I am your Sith Lord Callous for Lord Callous TV, where Star Wars lives. And this is another Rancorous review, my comic book edition. So if you're new here to the channel, subscribe, hit that like button, then turn on notifications so you can join the Dreamwalkers on our journey. Today we'll be reviewing the newest Darth Vader series, Dark Heart of the Sith Part 1. This is right up my alley, and this series takes place during the events involving The Empire Strikes Back and seems to intersect with the latest series from Luke's perspective of the same time period, The Destiny Path. Now this story is written by Greg Pak. Raphael Ianco is the artist and Narij Menon is the colorist. In-hyuk Lee is the cover artist, and I apologize if I butchered those names, but let's jump into the story. Dark Heart of the Sith begins on Cloud City with the battle between Luke Skywalker and his father Darth Vader. After cutting off Luke's hand, Darth Vader confesses that he's Luke's father. He offers Luke the galaxy through the power of the dark side, but Luke rejects his father, the Dark Lord of the Sith, and makes the choice instead to take his chances, plummeting into the darkness below. Now before we move on, I think it's worth stating that I'm curious to know why both of these new series are choosing this particular scene as the starting point for their new stories. I certainly don't mean to be paranoid, but I just hope that we are not looking at the start of a retelling of these established stories. The Empire Strikes Back is regarded by most fans as the best story in the saga, and as these new stories flesh out the backstory and fill in some of the blanks, I just hope the intention is to preserve the legacy and not to uproot what has already been written in any way. I mean, oddly enough, Luke barely looks like himself in this episode, but let's move on. Vader watches his son fall into the abyss. He can feel his strength in the Force and his weakness. As Luke escapes on the Falcon, Vader and a few of his death troopers board his personal Lambda shuttle. He brings Z-67 along too, a forensic droid trained in all aspects of data retrieval, collection, and analysis. Admiral Piet receives a transmission from the Grand Vizier, a request from the Emperor. The Millennium Falcon has escaped, and he would like Lord Vader to contact him immediately. But as the Admiral tries to hail the Sith Lord on his comlink, he soon realizes that Vader is already spacebound. With fear stirring in his belly, Piet is forced to report to the Emperor that Vader is currently unavailable, and to his surprise, the Emperor is pleased. Meanwhile, on the shuttle, Vader reprograms Z-67 with a failsafe for his mission. The droid will self-destruct if he ever reveals anything that he learns in the field. Vader is displeased with his son and feels like his strength, his potential, has been compromised, weakened even. And he intends to find out who it was that softened his boy up. And to that end, they begin their search on Tatooine, where Luke grew up. Now, as they enter the system and begin to make their approach, a band of pirates takes note that the Imperial shuttle is alone and without an escort from TIEs or even a nearby Star Destroyer. They assume that whomever is on board must be on a diplomatic mission that involves bribery or the like. And in such a case, there will be untraceable credits aboard that shuttle. So they make their pursuit. Vader lands planetside and disembarks with his team. He walks past Lieutenant Ardo Banch and the squad of stormtroopers there to greet them without uttering a word. Now Zed uses the lieutenant's terminal to search through the local records and is able to find the listing for the Lars homestead. They are soon off again. And at the homestead of Krieg Lars, where both Anakin and Luke Skywalker spent their childhood, Darth Vader sends his death troopers to secure the area, while he and Zed search the grounds. The Dark Lord begins to have flashbacks of his mother, his brother and sister-in-law, He thinks back to the time just before the Clone Wars and remembers Padme. Now Zed finds lots of toys and trinkets that indicate how much Luke was indeed like his father, and that realization floods his mind with more memories of Master Yoda, of Luke, and Padme, of his mother. He'd failed them all, let them down, or pushed them away. Anger surges through him. He ignites his lightsaber and walks outside of the hut. He uses the Force to uncover the buried headstones of Shmi Skywalker and Krieg Lards. After Zed detects their presence, the droid surmises that Owen and Beru hid the stones to protect Luke. Unfortunately, there are no gravestones for them, and we know that is because the stormtroopers made such a burial impossible. Darth Vader is lost in thoughts, dwelling on his mother and Padme when Lieutenant Banch arrives to warn him of some transmissions he picked up. But before he can explain himself, the transport is attacked and decimated. It's the pirates, 3 ships. They take a shot at Vader and he doesn't move. The Force is his ally. The ground erupts in flames around him and he simply walks through unscathed. Unable to fathom what they are witnessing, Vader uses the Force and yanks the fighter out of the sky. He slices it open with his lightsaber, and the Death Troopers come charging in when they see the explosions. But it's too late. Vader makes short work of these pirates, and then they head back to their shuttle. Their mission to find more information about Luke's past brings them to Coruscant to visit Luke's mother, his wife, Padme, and her old apartment. It has been sealed, but Vader easily makes an entrance. The search only stirs up more memories. Vader, Anakin, knows that only her most trusted allies knew that she was pregnant. He wonders if they could have stolen Luke from her before she died. But the droid cannot confirm either way what happened because the security recordings for the time period after her recorded death are missing. He does find a scout transmitter, however, and with that little piece of technology, they are able to track where the transmission is reporting to. Their search takes them to a small base on Vendaxa. It's being overrun by the locals, a squid or octopus-looking race, attacking the crew, a few humans and a Gungan. Now the Gungan refers to one of the individuals as Commander, so I don't know if they're part of the Rebel Alliance, perhaps one of the cells stationed there. Vader makes his way inside with Z-67 cutting down the locals with his lightsaber, and as he destroys the last of the attacking crustaceans, he's left to face the Commander herself, and she bears the face of Padme Amidala. And that's where this story ends. The Dark Heart of the Sith raises a lot of questions. Now, I enjoyed the nostalgia of The Phantom Menace, The New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Attack of the Clones, but I'm left confused and uncertain for myself. I'm wondering where exactly they plan to take us on this ride. I've noticed that the illustrations for Luke were looking less and less like Luke Skywalker. They seem to be emphasizing in both this series and the Destiny Path that Luke was weak, and that's a little concerning for me. But I'll wait to see how it all pans out. The end of this issue was a true shock for me, and when it's all said and done, I guess it is plausible that Padme could still be alive, but I think it's more likely that this is somehow a figment of Vader's imagination, or perhaps a vision in the Force of what could have been. But we'll just have to wait until issue 2. And you guys let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Is this Padme or some kind of Force apparition? And don't forget to check out my new merch store, now open on Teespring. And check out my Lore and Legend series, where I dive into stories from the past. Listen very closely. I do what I love. I hope you love what I do. This has been a Rancorous Review, comic book edition. Until next time.